I've said it on my podcast, but I wanted to make sure I say it here. I want to make sure I say it concise, and I want to say it clear. Now, I'm pretty sure on this channel I talk about racial ignorance before. I don't know if I put it on here or not, but I know I have talked about racial ignorance and how I believe that it is worse than just being straight up racist. Because, in my opinion, with a racist person, you know where they stand. They just don't like black people. Whether it's, you know, generational or, something happened to them where they don't like black people, it's whatever. So to me, it's just like it's bad, but it's not as bad as, let's just say, being racially ignorant. And to me, racially ignorant is like ignoring history. Like, let's just say, like, anytime when people bring up slavery, and I don't like bringing up slavery and all, because but in my choice, I know everything goes back to slavery. It's just one of those things where it's just like it's in the history books. It's factual. You can read it up. Everything does go back to slavery. Sometimes I don't even have to reference that far, and that's what This is what I tell people. Sometimes I don't even have to go as far as that. I can just reference it back, and hell, sometimes the Jim Crow era, the antebellum era, or when they finally freed the slaves, the Civil War era, where or even somewhat as recent as in this era. Now, obviously, we're not getting lynched. We're not getting beat. Depending on where you're at, you're not getting beat on just because you are black as much as it was. Let's just say in our past life. I understand that our grandparents has went through some shit, but there's a lot of people in this world, black and white, and this is what I mean, like being racially ignorant. You could be black and white, where where in our history, like a lot of shit done happened to, like, let's just say you put hurdles in front of the black community. Y'all seen this picture where it's just like I think it's a white man and a black woman, and the white man, he has a like clean road, and the black woman, she got a bunch of hurdles she got to go through, and it's just like and she got like a shackle with a ball and chain on her, and it's just like, and the white man is just like, what's wrong? We're running the same race. And that's basically being racially ignorant. It's like you see the shit that we have to go through just to get what you have, and all you got to do is just run straight. There's a lot of that. Now, I've pointed this out many of times where it's just like, yeah, you may not be racist. You probably don't have a hatred towards black people, but you are ignorant to the history of why do we act like this. Because a lot of people would like to throw out the reverse racism, and sometimes the woke agenda gets kind of like put into the race agenda, being racist or reverse racism or whatever they try to do to try to like prove their points or some shit like that. Or even when we say, let's just say the light bulb, like we know Thomas Edison made the light bulb, but the black man that the light bulb that we use today that has been used now has been invented by a black man. So that is technically the light bulb we done use, and we tell everybody that. And then here's white people say, "Well, you really didn't invent it." It's just like Thomas Edison kind of really invented it. Kind of, it was like, but we improved on it. So the version, we none of us used the Thomas Edison version. We using the one that the black man made. Excuse me for forgetting the black man's name, but obviously I'm doing this off the cuff. But it's as much as like that when when people have these experiments, and I've seen this video a long time ago where people have these experiments of you know trying to live life without black inventions, and there's a lot of things black people invented or improved on that we use in society today. And there are people that just want to like, well, you really didn't. Did you really? It's just we get those ignorant people. It's just like, why are you being so ignorant to something that is factual, something that you are looked up as? Also, people that are against critical race theory because they think it's just hating white people, and it's not hating white people. We're just there are layers and layers of history that you do not tell these kids that you probably should. Because if we really did, your people wouldn't look as good as you portrayed them in history. Now, we all know history was written by the winners. So, for the longest, you have had the stronghold on history where you get to tell the story, but there's always survivors. And it's just like, what? Once you hear those survivors and then you start putting the pieces to the puzzle, you be like, holy shit. You don't get to. Now, I tell people all the time, you don't get to hear about Black Panthers in school. I was never taught Black Panthers in school. I was never taught Malcolm X in school. I was never taught about, most of the things that black people done did in school. Not even on Black History Month. Now, you get your Martin Luther Kings, who I don't have a problem with. You get your Rosa Parks. You get your Thurgood Marshalls. You get your Frederick Douglass. You even get your Harriet Tubmans, which is cool. It's just like, but you never hear about other people outside of those mainstays. You don't even hear about Malcolm X. There was a fucking movie on him in the '90s. You don't really hear about the Black Panther movement, how they invented WIC, right? You don't hear about things like that. You don't. It was like which is up to us to tell the story, and for some reason, if according to what is her name? Because she had a problem with Beyonce and called Jay Z a drug dealer, and um, it's going to slip my mind. But the white girl that um that did not like Beyonce uh or Jay Z, she basically had the whole little rant about it and calling Jay Z a drug dealer and all that stuff. What is her name? Well, I'll look her up. Um, Tommy Lauren. That is her name. Tommy Lauren. I remember Charlamagne was, having a debate with her about the Black Panther movies, and she called them a terrorist organization, and Charlamagne had to tell her that no, they are not a terrorist organization. They was a party, and all their whole spiel was trying to make the Black Panther, the Black community great. Also, policing the police because let's be real, the police used to jack up black people all the time in these fucking neighborhoods, in which even then that goes back into slavery. Like you see how people connect the dots. You see how the dots get connected. Like we as black people we understand that. It's just like which is why I tell black people now Candace Owens. I get really mad at her, and I tell people all the time I want to like this woman because like when it comes to like race and politics, she is like all wrong. It's like now I always said that black people we shouldn't be victims, even though we were victimized. Don't get me wrong, we were victimized, and I've repeated this so many times. But we need to not have that victim mentality. I feel like we should be like saints. If anything, we should be like saints. We get stronger every time they try to kill us. We come back even stronger. That's how I feel like black people should look at this. Yeah, they tried to kill us, but we are coming back. We are a proud race, and smart people with warriors, smart people, warriors, thinkers, maneuvers, entertainers, all of the above. Which is why black people kind of like, if not to nerd out, but black people, why we relate to saying so much because their story is kind of our story, if you really think about it. Um, you see people like Candace Owens, and I believe the term shield is considered for Tim, but not even her. Jesse Lee Peterson, Officer Brandon Tatum, them Hodge twins, and other people like who for some reason defend white people, and always have these. Now, Candace Owens disappoints me the most, and I tell people all the time the reason why she disappoints me the most because she literally went through it in which I don't fucking understand. It's just like I don't fucking understand. It's just like you literally went through it. The NAACP literally helped you out. You was literally called all this by, the mayor's son or some shit like that. And there's documents and history on that. You of all people have first hand racism, like first hand racism. It's not like this second hand racism that a lot of people talk about and a lot of people feel like they kind of went through. But you yourself had first hand racism of shit that happened to you personally, that personally affected your life, and yet you act like this. I don't fucking get it. The fact that you even married a white man after someone did that shit to you, it baffles me. But that's who you want to love. That's fine. I'm not even going to get to that because after that shit, I would have been like, fuck white people. And don't get me wrong, I have white people that I've called brothers and sisters, and it's like I fucking will fight for. Do not get me wrong, but even then, I feel like even they understand like a lot of our history and like why black people act like the way they do, which is another thing. I'm gonna talk about the creator Dilbert, um, Scott Adams or Adam Scott or however you want to say his name. But the creator of Dilbert, he basically had this poll in which he was just like over 50%, did not like black people, and he butchered the stat because it was just like, do you like white people first off, or do you hate white people? Um, First off, and I looked at the stat, and about 54% said no, we don't hate white people, and there's about 25% said yes, and the other ones are like, I'm not sure. So he took the yes and the I'm not sure and combined them together and say, okay, half of the people don't like white people. And I was like, wow, that was racially wow, you just fucked the numbers up just to try to prove your point. And I was like disappointed about that. You just took them numbers to try to fix your point, prove your point, and it don't even work like that. The other people said they're not sure, so they're not even sure if they hate white people or not. Now, first off, 54% said they didn't. So there is half of the people who's just like, no, I don't hate white people, but you refuse to. But you refuse to look at that. Instead, you look at the 25 people that said um, that they do hate white people, and it's the other percentage, and the rest of that said they're not sure. And you're like, I'm just gonna combine those numbers together, and then call them black people hate group, and telling you to stay away from black people. Your words that came exactly out of your fucking mouth, and you have to. Not only you double down, but you also try to clean it up. I've seen it. You tried to double down and then fucking clean it up like no one was fucking going to notice. No, you can't do that. You can't fucking do that. First off, and um, first first and foremost, no, I don't know anybody that fucking reads Dilbert anymore. I don't know if anybody really reads New Papers comic book. I used to. That's why I know who Dilbert is. But Dilbert is never the first thing I read. It's those Boondocks or Charlie Brown. Then probably Garfield, depending on if they had it. But the first when I used to get the Washington Post, and I get the comic section, the first thing I ever read was Boondocks. Yes, it was a black man. But other than that, I used to read Peanuts. Charlie Brown, because I am a big fan of Charlie Brown and Peanuts in that animation. So, but like Dilbert is like one of the last joints to read because you're not even. It's like, I'm not putting you above Beetle Bailey. I'm not putting you above Family Circus. I'm not putting you above Garfield. We're not doing that. But here we are. Baby Blues. Yeah, I'm not even putting you above Baby Blues either. But here we fucking are. Here we fucking are. Um, that's what the racially ignorant people do. It's just like you ignore a lot of people cries. You feel like we're crying for nothing because we live in an era where, like I said, we're not getting beaten over the head like our ancestors, or we're not getting chased out of town, or we're not getting crosses burned on our front lawn like our people's, and you think, oh, it's better. I was like, it was like the physical, and I tell people, physically, it's better. It's like, yes, black people have more enough opportunities, but we still have to jump through hurdles. That's like in that picture of the race I'm talking about. You take away like one or two hurdles, maybe take away a pitfall, but I still got to run through the rest of the dangerous obstacle with still the ball and chain on shackled on my feet. Like I'm still running a fucking hard race. It's just maybe not as hard as my grandparents because we was just like, you need to get some of this shit. We need to get some of this shit off, and so you need to get some of that shit off our trails. But the white people's path is still clear. So this is why we're now the thing is, like I said, Candace Owens. One of my biggest problems is just like even though, and I've said this before in a video about 5 months ago, and I had to watch that just to make sure I didn't repeat myself because she she has a lot of facts, but at the same time, there's a lot of context to that facts, and I feel like and I've had this problem with a lot of people that fucking on the right way, especially black people. Y'all just like have this thing about, oh, you just hate white people just to hate white people. It's like no, why do you? It's like why. It's just like my like I tell people all the time. My father is not that fond of white people, but I understand when he told me the shit the white people did to him as a kid growing up in Long Island, New York, and the bullshit they was trying to do in Long Island. It's just like you would say fuck white people too. Y'all don't like us. And this is like, and Godfrey said this because I was watching Godfrey said this. It's just like we don't bother y'all. Y'all bother us. We be trying to live out here. Leave us the fucking alone, and y'all fuck with us. Anytime it's just like even and I've seen like videos of this, and even in like black people minding their own business, white people come out, what are you niggers doing? And we're just sitting there just minding our own black ass business. And then we gotta sit here and be quiet because I can't fuck you up. Because if I fuck you up, your parents are gonna come to my parents at like 5 o'clock at night and throw Molotovs at our fucking or burn our fucking house down, which y'all have done. Or so we just gotta like them black people gotta sit there and take it. And I remember as a kid I used to watch those videos and like in the back of my head it's just like, oh hell no. Now I know I'm saying this in an age where I can fuck a white boy up. I can still get some consequences, but I can fuck a white boy up now. Hell, in this day and age, if a white person be racist and I fucking hit him in the face, it's warranted. It's just like serves you right. It's just like, but back then our peoples couldn't do that. Our peoples could our peoples couldn't do that. I understood at that time. So anytime where I'm watching, our people's just got to sit there and take it. And like, I know a lot of people don't like slave movies, but at the same time, I feel like the importance of having them is warranted. And even the fact that you don't like them because you don't like the way they make you feel. And the back of my head is you're supposed to feel like that. You're supposed to feel like I feel like you're supposed to feel this anger. You're supposed to feel this. You're supposed to feel this. How can I say it? You're supposed to feel this anger of what the people did to your people. Like you're supposed to have that anger. I understand you don't want to see many movies on there, but at the same time, it's also there to beating into your head that you should never forget what these people have done to us and what they're trying to do. So it's not that we don't hate white people, but it's not a lot of white people hate, not a lot of black people hate white people, but at the same time, even if we did, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? You, as a modern white male or woman, probably never been racist to a black person in your life. You probably got along with black people all your life. It's cool, but your parents probably, or your great parents, and this what a lot of people, and even I had to point out to some of my white friends. It's just like Yeah, easy. My when they say their grandparents are good, they're people, but they're racist, but they're good people. It's like, are they really good people? And that's when you go, are they really good people? Usually, because they want to be racist to black people and say, are they really good people? Now, I don't want them to hate their grandparents, but we also have to point out the bullshit that their grandparents was probably racist. Now, a couple of my white friends, they understand. It's just like, I would like to you to meet my grandparents, but they're racist. And you know what? I understand. I don't. You know what? If you would tell me you don't want to go there, my grandparents is racist, and I don't want you to be calling. And I love you enough to say, and I love you enough to not bring you there. And this is, I feel like black people need to understand this. This is one. If you have a white friend and they tell you, you know what, my people's kind of racist, and I love you not to bring you over there to experience that racism, you should go. I appreciate that. You know what? I appreciate that. Because obviously they know that people's are racist. They probably called out their racist, the racism that their parents did. But when someone says I love you enough not to bring you over there, I'm good. Black people, we should be like that. Sometimes we're stubborn enough to go, no, we should go over there. I really want to see what it's like. No, no, you don't. Now, even me, I made a joke. It's like I probably laugh if she called me a jigaboo. Now I'm at that. I'm at that point. I understand not a lot of people are at that point, but I am personally at that point. If a white person was inviting me off and their great grandmother called me a jigaboo, I probably laugh in their face. I said, "Oh, this was the old racism feel like." I probably look like going through a historical museum. I probably feel like going through a historical racism museum. It's just like, look at this little big lip nigger or some shit like that. Why do I sound like this McMahon? But yeah, back to that. It's just I've said this 5 months ago, and I say this now. I want to like Candace. I really do want to like Candace Owens, because even with the white man cucking and the bed winching that she does, there are things that I agree with her, especially on traditional family values. There's obviously that. Also, how the being a man, and how the man is supposed to lead and all that other stuff. When it comes to family values, and I said this 5 months ago, and I say it now. When it comes to family values, she's on point. When it comes to traditional family values and how the man is supposed to lead, she's on point with that. I've agreed with her on that. I've sit there when she's talking about family and traditional values and all that other shit, and feminism, how feminism done killed all that. I agree with her on that, and it's just like I want to like you. And then when you get to this whole spiel, you don't like Jay-Z because this, you don't really like fucking with black culture because of this, that, and this, and all that other stuff. It's just like, damn. It's like I want to. It's like I'm like Tyra Banks. It's just like, how dare you? I'll be rooting. It's like I don't be rooting for it, but it's just like I'm just disappointed. It's like, you think like this? And then when you go through a history, you find out that she was experiencing the racism to herself, to where you know, it still baffles. Like to me, it still baffles me. It was like you went through this. What the fuck? It's like, not to repeat myself, but it's just it blows my mind that you went through this, and not only you would be, I think you'd be the blackest of the blackest. I'm gonna be real with you. Like you don't have to like the hood culture or the hood mentality or some shit like that, because most of our conscious brothers don't like it. They don't like it. Like Umar don't like gangster rap, but and I know a lot of conscious people that don't like gangster rap and all that stuff. I love gangster rap, but I know a lot of people that don't like gangster rap. But I feel like you could be like something that black people could fight for. Hell, even you going after Black Lives Matter, I did not mind that because I didn't I didn't really fuck with Black Lives Matter either. But I've had, like I said, there's a video on that 5 months ago with a lot more passion and a lot more anger at this. But yeah, I feel like, and I feel like the point to this video, because I am about 25 minutes in, I think the point to this video is there are things worse than racism, and it is racially ignorant people. And I feel like those are the people that is going to fuck the black community over, whether it's they of our skin color or not. It's just like you got to tell these people these history, and I think it's important for us to keep this history alive. To where like that's why you have these hidden colors. That's why you have movies like this. That's why we're pushing to put CRT, critical race theory, into our fucking schools because we need to know the full history instead of just the bullshit history that they like to feed us sometimes. There are there are things that there's always been left out that niggas just don't know about or most people don't even care about, but it really should. And I don't want to get to a point where it's just like our people. I feel like it's going to get to a point where they're going to say our people chose to do this. Now, this is coming from a person that says slavery is a choice. I don't want them. I don't want that to happen. I want them to know. I want them to understand the full grasp of our history. And I've said this, whether it comes from the winner side or it comes from the loser side. Because if the motherfucking South can still fucking celebrate the war they fucking lost, we should be able to understand the history that we come from and what America was really doing to our fucking people before they fucking give us a full bullshit ass fairy tale story. Because if done by them, we was down. It's going to be a point to we chose to be slaves, and that's all I have to say about that. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know I sound contradicting, but I've already been through that. The slavery was a choice thing a long time ago, but even even then, if you want to know, I'll probably I know I explained it in like the why I was against Kanye. I know I wrote this like 5 months ago. Said about why I was against Kanye when he said slavery was a choice. It's just like I know I sound like very contradictory, but I don't think like Kanye do. I just want to put that out there. So, but overall, there's a lot of racial ignorant shit that I feel like it needs to be fixed before it gets to a point where it's just like they're gonna rewrite our history to what it makes them look good and us look bad. To make them look like, oh, they was these financial responsible motherfuckers and we just like spent our money on liquor and booze and bitches and just threw our money away while white people thrive. We fucking just fucking ourselves over. And I feel like it's going to get to that part. And I hope y'all don't hear all that work they was doing in the background. But I do feel like it's going to get to that part. But that's just me. And that's probably just me being paranoid. But as long as we tell our history, and as long as we keep having strong black people that is going to refer to our history, I know that it's not going to be like that. That or we're all just going to go back to Africa and live with Akon. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Tune in. My name is Skin on Fly, and I am out. Peace.